Iran has been ramping up pressure on Israel, attacking them daily through their proxies. And all the time, Iran has been trying to develop nuclear weapons. And now, as Iran gets closer to nuclear weapons, the next president of the United States, Trump or Harris, may have to make a decision that will affect if Israel as a nation survives.
Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Hi! Can we talk on it? Yes.
How close is this to becoming a regional conflict that could draw in U.S. troops?
We have absolutely no intention, nor do we have any plans to send combat troops.
She told us the U.S. wants to keep the conflict from escalating, but that's proving difficult. In the last 2 weeks, Hezbollah in Lebanon and the Houthis in Yemen, both proxies of Iran, have launched missiles, rockets, and drones against Israel. And Iranian-backed militias have fired on U.S. troops stationed in Iraq and Syria.
We start this out with the breaking news. The Palestinian militant group Hamas has said its political leader, Ismail Haniyeh, has been killed in Iran.
We meet today at a crossroads of history. Our world is in upheaval. In the Middle East, Iran's axis of terror confronts America, Israel, and our Arab friends.
Blocking their route to the capital where Netanyahu was speaking were miles of barricades backed by thousands of officers. The march stalling at Union Station where protesters began pulling American flags down from the flagpoles. Officers moved in and were swarmed by the crowd.
The flag there on the ground was on the flagpole here at Union Station a few moments ago, but protesters here lit it on fire, as well as that effigy of Benjamin Netanyahu.
When you see people burning the U.S. flag outside of Union Station in Washington, D.C. and replacing it with a Palestinian flag, the same flag that the Hamas terrorists were wearing on their vests when they invaded Israel, I was disappointed particularly by Vice President Kamala Harris's decision to boycott this speech. I thought that it bespoke significant hostility on her part going forward.
Kamala Harris stabbed Israel in the back in its great hour of need. 2 days ago, she refused to attend the speech in Congress of the Prime Minister of Israel. She said, I can't make it. Together with Joe Biden, she gave billions and billions of dollars to Iran and Hamas to fund their campaigns of terror. She gave them billions of dollars. She betrayed America's ally and sided with the radical fringe of her party. And this week, many of those Kamala Harris supporters burned American flags in the heart of our nation's capital and desecrated our monuments. Unlike liberal Kamala, I will support Israel's right to win its war on terror. You have to support that.
We have to stay woke. Like, everybody needs to be woke. And you can talk about if you're the wokest or woker, but just stay more woke than less woke.
Yeah. And instead of pandering to the jihad sympathizers and America-hating radicals, we will deport them.
Some carried flags of the genocidal group ISIS. Others pulled down and burned American flags while hoisting Palestinian flags in their place.
Harris's instinct is not to be pro-Israel. Now, she's made some pro-Israel statements over the years, but this decision to go to a sorority event rather than listen to the Prime Minister of Israel during a war in which Israel is under attack from almost every single possible side, this tells us a lot about who Kamala Harris is.
Trump's case is that weakness in the United States has strengthened Iran and led to countless attacks. The Iran nuclear deal and other concessions have strengthened Iran's hand in its attempt to destroy Israel and God's plans for it.
On a very consistent basis, I receive classified briefings about the threats to our nation's security. And on the list of potential threats, especially in terms of nuclear threat, North Korea is, of course, on that list, and Iran is on that list.
Would President Harris fix the problem?
Well, frankly, I believe that we need to get back into the Iran nuclear deal.
Giving $6 billion to the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism, just as when Obama sent the Iranian regime pallets of cash, Biden's ransom payment will be immediately used to stoke violence, bloodshed, and mayhem throughout the Middle East and all around the world, costing countless innocent lives.
President Biden is warning Israel U.S. policy towards its staunch ally will change. The direct message coming during a phone call between the president and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
And in the past few months, the administration has been withholding weapons and ammunition to Israel. Israel, America's closest ally, fighting for its life, fighting against Iran and our other common enemies. During World War II, Churchill told the United States, "Give us the tools, we'll do the job." And I say, give us the tools and we'll finish the job.
They haven't produced a weapon itself, but that's something, of course, that we track. Having the breakout capacity of producing fissile material for a nuclear weapon is now probably 1 or 2 weeks away from doing that. They haven't produced a weapon itself, but that's something, of course, that we track very, very carefully. Those two things together, the fissile material, an explosive device, and you have a nuclear weapon.
When will the lesson be learned? How many more dictators must be wooed, appeased before we learn? You cannot reason with a tiger when your head is in its mouth.
No money. Now Iran has $250 billion. They made it all over the land.
Iran is edging the world closer to a crisis unlike anything ever seen in the Middle East, with the Hezbollah war attacking the north of Israel and the promise from Iran that it will take any chance it can to annihilate Israel. The spirit of Haman has arisen again in the nuclear age, and Netanyahu is clear. Whatever the cost, they will never allow Iran to develop a nuclear weapon that could be used against Israel.
Israel fights Hamas, we're fighting Iran. When we fight Hezbollah, we're fighting Iran. When we fight the Houthis, we're fighting Iran. And when we fight Iran, we're fighting the most radical and murderous enemy of the United States of America. And one more thing. When Israel acts to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons that could destroy Israel and threaten every American city, every city that you come from. We're not only protecting ourselves, we're protecting you.
That was Benjamin Netanyahu's way of telling the United States that after years of patiently being attacked and restraint, Israel will destroy Iran's nuclear site on its own if it has to. And Israel will do anything necessary to avoid the following from taking place.
This is an emergency alert from Jerusalem, Israel. We are interrupting all broadcasts and media. This is not a drill. A nuclear attack against Israel is imminent. The current threat level is critical. Immediately proceed to the nearest underground bunker and prepare for a prolonged wait. Nuclear strikes cause deadly dust known as fallout, which will affect everyone. You will not be allowed to leave your location for at least 14 days. The defense systems of Israel, the United States, and Great Britain are engaging the threat, but the likelihood of intercepting all nuclear missiles is limited. Stay in your shelter and listen for further instructions. I repeat, this is not a drill. A nuclear strike is imminent. Your survival depends on your adherence to these instructions.